This is Abigail Jamison, and this is my professional philosophy of industrial organizational psychology. My philosophy of IO psychology is that it serves as the medium between work and human behavior. Rucci stated that the purpose is to enhance the dignity and performance of individuals and the places they work by advancing the science and knowledge of human behavior, or knowing why a person behaves the way they do. IO psychology is focused on research and testing, personnel decisions, organizational learning, motivation, performance, psychological health, and leadership in organizations. There is a difference in the science and practice of IO psychology. The scientific side is concerned with advancing the knowledge of people at work through numbers, research, and studies. Their studies are based on the cognitions, emotions, and behaviors of individuals in the workplace. The practice of psychology is focused on applying that knowledge to real-world issues. I have an interest in both the science and the practice of IO psychology. In order to gain experience and knowledge in the practice, I would like to first become a consultant, internal preferably. The parts of IO psychology that excite me the most are in work analysis, breaking down jobs into specific knowledge, skills, abilities, and their tasks. In job design and redesign, how can we take that work analysis and make the job better for both the employee and the organization? And in the design of trainings. My favorite class so far was last semester when we had to design a training from scratch. I took something I knew very little about and created a training plan that could be used in real life, even in my life. Specifically within those three, work analysis, job design, and trainings, I would like to focus on how or why a person is satisfied in their job, what can be done to improve it, and what motivates them to work their hardest. As to the scientific side, I would one day like to teach psychology in a university. I know that entails a lot of research, and again my focus would likely be on satisfaction and motivation. When I was debating graduate schools, and I will be honest, I almost chose a subject I was somewhat less passionate about because it did not involve quite as much work in statistics. My mom asked me what my bottom line was, where I wanted to be when I looked back on my life and knew I had done exactly what I wanted to do. My answer was to teach. So she told me to do exactly what I needed to do to one day become a university professor. So here I am. Personal ethics and values I believe important to this field include integrity in actions and in my speech, to always be striving for excellence, improving with each project I work on, maintaining a positive and motivating demeanor, being dependable. We all have that one person, or I hope that we do, that we can ask something of and know that it will be done and done well. I want to be that person. Maintaining an open mind when developing trainings and work designs, realizing that maybe sometimes I will walk into a situation thinking I have it figured out, and being humble and wise enough to realize my opinions might need to change, and maintaining a spirit of service towards others. Professional ethics include the ability to maintain confidentiality for both my client as an organization and the employees who work there, being competent, keeping up on my training, whether through continuing education credits or through school, and avoiding harm to my clients whenever possible. My goals include getting into a good doctoral program. To that end, one of my main goals is to maintain high grades while in grad school. What works for me is to read the material through and highlight what is important, to go back through and make written notes. And I am old school completely. I use a good old-fashioned notebook, and then study those notes before taking a test or writing a paper. So far, it's worked. Another goal is to design and distribute a study that I can use in real life, in this case, for the 30 volunteers that I oversee at church. We have 400 volunteers in all. The study, ideally, will be broadly applicable to the whole organization and include anonymous questions of satisfaction, motivation. Remember, these are volunteers. What motivates them to give 8 to 10 hours of their weekend to an organization week in and week out? And what can be done to improve their overall experience? After compiling the data and analyzing the results, I want to prepare a work analysis that shows their knowledge, skills, and abilities and what tasks they perform. I want to emphasize autonomy, competence, and relatedness, the 3 factors of intrinsic motivation according to self-determination theory. I would like to then prepare a training applicable to their volunteer duties. Lastly, I hold the goal of being published. I will be the first to admit I am a bit lost on this one, so the first step will be to discuss it with some of my professors, what exactly I need to do, what I need to look for, who I need to look to work with. I believe each of these are important and necessary interpersonal skills, and that most of them we cultivate as we are given the opportunity to employ them. I gain empathy and listening skills when faced with a situation that a coworker confides in me. In both my job as a coordinator at work and as coordinator of the volunteers at church, I am often faced with conversations that I have no way to prepare for. It helps sharpen my decision-making and problem-solving skills, as well as my persuasion and negotiation skills. Quick thinking skills, too, come to think of it, as I listen and address their issues. As I invest my time into my employees and my volunteers, I develop that rapport necessary for when I do need to have the tough conversations, such as if they're constantly late. One of the most important tools in our arsenal is to be able to perform a skills self-assessment, to know what people think of us, to see if there are places that we can improve, to be okay with conflict between ourselves and those who work for or with us. I am using both my job and my coordinator position as practice for when I step into the role of IO psychologist, working in job analysis, job design, work trainings, and later as a professor in a university.